Welcome to Tammy Nation. Let's go.
From 9 to 5, been biting my tongue for all this time. Won't let anyone cut me short. I was thinking this was the way to go, and you put up your puppet show. I say cheers to life. No, I'll be no good man's wife. Just leave me alone. I'm running the show. I'm telling you, it's my time to rise up. Live the life I'm proud of. No, you better go home.
Hey, good afternoon, Wednesday afternoon, everybody. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well out there. Hey, Garrett and Larry P., thanks for stopping in. I thought I'd come on because, of course, if you haven't seen yet, Mitch McConnell had another blip in his system. And also, I've been looking up and researching some stuff regarding the 15-minute cities. And I have some articles that I'm going to read to you a little bit because I want to know your opinions about them, how much you know about them, and what your thoughts are about them. So first and foremost, this Wednesday afternoon, you guys, I just want to say, hearts and prayers and thoughts go out to the people in Florida and through the East Coast as that hurricane is moving through. Here in Georgia so far where I'm at, we've had some rain and some wind, but not much. It hasn't been too bad. Really. So that is a blessing here, but we do keep those people in our thoughts and our prayers as that hurricane starts moving along that East Coast. Okay. So yeah, exactly. Mitch. So Mitch McConnell, it happened today, and that's why I'm bringing it up. He froze again for 30 seconds. He was at an appearance in Kentucky in front of the press. And when he was asked if he would run for re-election, he literally froze for 30 seconds. And he had to have a couple people come up to him and ask him if he was okay and stuff, and trying to get him to re-engage. It wasn't working too well. So he did have another glitch because the one he had in July was for about 19 seconds or so, I think it was, before he was escorted away from the cameras. He was at a news conference on Capitol Hill, if you remember that. He is 81 years old, but at that news conference, remember, he did say that I'm fine. And so today, when it was apparent that he froze again, they went up to him, these people that were on either side of him, and said, "Did you hear the question, Senator?" And he just was unresponsive. And then, he kind of tried to shake him out of it a little bit and stuff. And he basically did not answer the question. Once he re-engaged again a little bit, he brushed off one of the questions regarding Trump, and then he left. So the reporters didn't ask him about the episode before he left either. It seems like these people always get off easy compared to what Mr. T went through and some of the people that's around him when they have pressers and stuff. So now the spokesperson came out about McConnell and said that he felt momentarily lightheaded, and he paused during his press conference today, that he's actually going to go see a doctor. And then, of course, President Biden said he just heard about it and he tried to get in touch with them later this afternoon. But you would think that, Biden would have plenty of other things to keep him busy. But I'm glad that that's a priority for him to reach out to McConnell and see then make sure he's okay. So my question is, no matter what is going on with them, hey, Southern Cal Patriot, it just happened. It wasn't that long ago. So it's making its way around the internet now, Southern Cal Patriot. But my thing is, why are we allowing these people to continue in their positions when we know that with the mental stability capabilities, they have to have strong mental capabilities. It can't be impaired by anything. The mental competence is crucial, especially in the positions that these leaders hold. And for some reason, Mr. B and McConnell and some others are allowed to get away with what they're getting away with. So you have to ask yourself, are these supporters still in support of these men and women not reacting the way they should? Do you feel comfortable with them leading this country? And I'm talking to the supporters, you guys. I know that there's a lot out here that are watching or will watch later that just don't support them. But when you have the people that are anti-Trump or anti the policies that some of the Republicans have out there, and they are pro this administration and their policies, how do they defend something like that? How do they feel confident in these people that are leading the way in this country? When it comes to alcohol, drugs, dementia, or anything, nobody should be in any position of any way if their mental capacity or their body is affected by any of those addictions or illnesses. It's not like that comes and goes with Mitch. It seems like it's just a progression. Like I said, he is 81 years old. It's not that you can't be 81 and have a sound mind, but that's more than a pause. And when they tell us, the American people out there, that, he was just having an uncomfortable pause for a moment. He was thinking for a moment, but he has that look that he has. It's disturbing to me how much people try to cover that up and expect us to be ignorant and just buy that and tolerate that and have confidence in these people as leaders of this country. It's total insanity to me. Hey, Susie Sneed, it's good to see you. Well, on a bit of good news or interesting news, Mr. T, after what he's gone through and everything, some interesting numbers. He's made over 20 million in August. The campaign has so far, his campaign sold over 36,000 t-shirts, 24,000 coffee mugs, and 8,600 posters. And that's been in a week since his processing at the Fulton County Jail. So that should tell you something right there. So here is the former president being indicted, indictment number 4, booked, arrested, all that stuff. And he's made over $20 million in the month of August. Why the people that are in charge in this administration can't seem to hold a press conference and seem sane or answer questions. The White House press secretary, Jen, if you look at her, she avoids the questions at all costs and says, you know what, I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to discuss that. They never give direct answers. It's supposed to be about transparency, clarity, and answering the questions that the press asks of people. We know that the last administration did that the minute that man left the White House, there were reporters on both sides of that driveway as he went towards Air Force One and the choppers and stuff. And, now when he walks out, Biden walks out, he can barely stumble across that lawn without falling down. So I think it's really time to back up and ask some of these people who are supporters. Like I said, do you really think these people are functional? Do you really think that they should be in these offices to the end? Or are you going to elect them back in? Are you going to support them? I don't know. It's just pretty clear. It doesn't matter what you say about Mr. T or Mr. B. You look at the difference. It doesn't matter what side you're on. You look at them as competent people to run this country, and they're not competent at all on this side. This administration that's running now, they seem to, we've got, Kamala, who laughs and giggles all the time. And then you've got the press secretary who doesn't seem to be able to answer questions. You've got the president who falls asleep in crucial moments that he shouldn't be falling asleep in. He's stumbling across everything. And it's just getting sickening to me. So, she also says, I'm not going to get into that, or that's ongoing investigation. And she refers us to the other people all the time. Well, then what's the point of you coming out there at all when you have no answers? It just makes zero sense to me. So the other thing that I wanted to get to was this 15-minute city stuff. We've been hearing about that on and off, or these compacted cities, and they're supposed to go from bottom to top to save space. And it was supposed to be, for our benefit and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to go one way or another. I'm just going to read some stuff and what these people have to say about it, and where you guys can find the articles, and, decide, would you want to be in this or not? So the first article that I have, it comes from Earth Island Journal. And what's interesting is this stuff didn't just happen overnight. This has been in the process for a very long time. Some of these articles and some of these plans, go back to like 2016, 2021, 2020, and they've been talking about these cities. So in this Earth Island Journal article, It is talking from April of 2022. And it says that urban life involves large amounts of wasted time adapting to what is called absurd organization of cities. And this is a professor named Carlos Moreno, who says that we've accepted the unacceptable when it comes to living in urban areas and cities. And he said that even if we have to spend 45 minutes to 1 hour for a trip to work, this was considered normal. His solution is the 15-minute city, and it sounds simple enough. In such a city, all residents would be able to access their daily needs of home, work, education, care, essential shopping, and socializing within the distance of a 15-minute walk or bike ride. A 15-minute city would feature elements such as widened pavements and expanded bike networks, while space once used for parking would be repurposed for more social interactions, such as outdoor dining or play areas for children. So this Moreno guy is talking about this concept was developed 6 years ago at least, and at the UN climate talks, of course. So these are the people behind these 15-minute cities, the UN. And we know well about the UN. So he said that 6 years ago, when we had these talks in Paris, people considered it a great idea, but too utopian, mainly because they thought it was unrealistic and everyone should work close to home. And then now that we fast forward to 2020 and the pandemic forced many people all over the world to work not just closer to home, but actually at home, using technology to access meetings and information they previously had to travel for central place to work for. So he said this completely transformed the debate. So what is he saying? In essence, he's saying that some of these people thought it was too utopian and nobody would go for it and it made no sense. But since the pandemic, that it's a wonderful idea and everybody decided to talk about it again, and that it was a brilliant idea because there are other people that are following suit and they agree with this. And it's Barcelona, Rome, China, Chengdu. Many are adapting this idea and named their own cities. In Australia, it's the 20-minute neighborhood, but the concept of proximity to citizens' daily activities remain the same. So what's he saying? That more people are on board with this. And I don't know if you guys knew about this or not, but there's a lot more people on board with this whole idea. And this next article talks about the different cities that are involved in what they're doing in these cities. So my thing is, if you want to live in a city, and you know, we actually have one built here now. Over by the movie theaters, there's this own Encompass City. It has its own hotel, its own stores, its own grocery, its own movie theater and restaurants, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the outside people that don't live in that city are allowed to go in there, okay, and leave. So my thing is, if you want to live like that, I liken it to a senior center home. Because if you look at senior retirement homes, these people, they have all different levels. They have the independent level, which people still have vehicles and they're totally independent, but they just want to be amongst a bunch of people, okay? And they want to just be able to eat and have friends and do social things inside that community. And then there's the assisted living part where people, you know, maybe can't get around as well, but they still want to be around people and they need some care. And then we have the 24-hour care, which are people that are pretty much disabled and unable to move around on their own, and they need 24-hour care. So some of these cities that I'm going to describe to you in these different parts of the world remind me of that. They remind me of senior centers, because what happens is in these senior homes is you pay a certain amount of money and your food is included, your activities mostly are included unless they take you outside of the community, and then you have to pay an extra fee. But my thing is, how much control do you want to give the said owners of these cities? And that's where I have a pause, because if you don't drive, or let's say you need help getting around, senior homes are great. But when we come to these big cities they're talking about that are for families and every level of health, saying that it's for the sake of saving the environment and it makes more sense. In so many ways, it just really doesn't make sense to me, because when they say that the situation that happened with the pandemic, that it made everybody say, oh, yes, that's a great idea now. Well, my question is, how is that a great idea? If you wanted people to stay apart and stay away from each other and to isolate at home, how is having a community a 15-minute community such a great idea? Maybe in their minds, it's because then you can contain things to that community. Yet I would believe everybody would get it if things are that contagious and things are that scary and you're supposed to stay apart. If you're in a small community, wouldn't that mean everybody gets it then? And then they're saying, oh, then you won't spread into other communities. Why? Because some of these communities you're going to see don't allow vehicles, and they have transportation, which is just bikes, or you can use transit inside the city, the 15 minutes if you don't want to walk, whatever little bus systems or whatever they have. So it keeps going down to more and more control, where some of these areas, you're not going to be allowed to have a vehicle. All these so-called spaces that you would park your own vehicle in will be used for the space will be used for like playgrounds and the such. So yes, they do want to keep it to small little communities. So yeah, exactly, Susie. It kind of sounds like that. And Larry P., I didn't know that Benny Johnson dropped some things. But so this article continues on. And, you know, of course, they're going to show pictures of happy people, you know, and these beautiful fall colors of trees and riding bikes, and then like the fruit and veggie stands and all that stuff where everything is quick access. So my thing is, do we really want quick access? Do we really mind taking the hour to and from work? In this article, it says that it's a waste of time. And I don't know about you, but I love being able to take a drive to and from work, to think, decompress, whatever. I like to get outside of my area. I can't stay in my house 24/7 or just in my small little area 24/7 at all. To be able to roam free outside and do what I want to do, that's freedom, right? That's the American way. So you may say, well, Tammy, they're not saying you have to stay into these communities. No, they're not saying that at all either. They're saying that you want to stay in these communities, that you want to live your life for the most part in these little 15-minute communities. And that's what you want to do because it's convenient and fun and blah, blah, blah. And you think about what we just went through with being shut down and stuff for a while, what that did to people's psyches. Some people just haven't still been able to get out in the world and enjoy the world like they did pre this shutdown stuff, right? So if those people are trained to think, well, guess what? If we go to this community when they build them, which they have built them, and I will get to that, then they're going to take care of me and I don't have any worries because I know they want the best interest. I'm going to pay money to live here and everything that I want is going to be okay. But then you liken that to the senior center homes, where if you pay a certain fee, they control what you eat. They control what time you eat. They control your social hours. They control what you do in social hours, okay? What kind of games you play, movies you see, etc. So if you want everybody to make the decision for you, that's your choice, fine. But I'm not for that at all. Just for me, that's not going to work for me. So I think that I'm going to be one of those rebels or whatever you call it, somebody that's not socially aware of taking care of this land because I want to live out on my own, just have some land and do my own thing. I guess I'd be the rebel, right? Because to me, there's nothing like it, getting out in nature. This whole city idea just doesn't get it for me. So as we continue on with this article, that basically it says there is a risk that efforts to create 15-minute cities will result in gentrification, exacerbating inequality. So to avoid this, projects need to be implemented in all districts regarding of income of their inhabitants. For example, local shops and commerce such as bakeries and handicrafts can be encouraged in poorer neighborhoods by charging below market rents. Social segregation with particular districts inhabited by only people with low incomes needs to be avoided. To develop the common good, how many times have we heard that term? The common good, new financial tools will be needed. One example of this is the participatory budget. This can support the creation of the 15-minute cities by allowing citizens to propose projects and vote on which to go ahead and how much municipal spending is allocated to them. So basically, they're saying that if you're in the city, that you're going to be able to vote and have money and decide what's going to go where. In theory, it sounds perfect, right? Isn't that what America's supposed to be, though? However, on the bigger scale, wasn't this what we're supposed to be able to do? We all agree, we vote, it's all fair, we do what we need to do, and the most votes win, right? And so this is the smaller scale promise version of that. And it says in here, New York has 120 million that has been granted to 706 community designated projects over the last 8 years, and leading to improved local services. The private sector also needs to be involved in transforming cities, according to Moreno. We need to develop social uses within a mixed city, and for that we need to discuss the development of new projects with the private sector that foster cities that promote livability. So basically, they want to have everybody, like I said, living in these little cities. Supposedly you can control what's going on. But when they say we need to implement this everywhere, it's not just for the rich, it's not just for the poor. They want it to be everywhere. That gives me a red flag too. I don't believe that it's the common good at all. They say that, but I don't believe it. Like I said, if you give them control over where you're allowed to go, what's to stop them? And people say, "Oh, Tammy, you're dramatic." But I don't believe so. What's to stop them from saying, guess what? It's a big bad world out there, or there's major fires, or there's bad weather coming, or there's another pandemic. So we're going to keep you safe. We're going to keep you locked into your little cities here. And we're going to have our invisible walls up. Nobody's going to come in. Nobody's going to leave. And it's all going to be A-okay. And it does remind me of Hunger Games. It really does, It's very crazy. Hey, Chris Gilbert, DeCat, and Independent Mary United. It's good to see you as well. So the 15-minute city model, once again, encourages, this is a March and April of 2022 article that I just read. This one coming up is from February 10th of 2021. So like I said, it's not like this is something new. And, people used to laugh and make fun of people saying, this is a conspiracy theory, blah, blah, blah. This is never going to happen. But we're getting to that. I'm going to show you where these cities are. And like I said, this is from 2021, this article now. And it says that, now, they're trying to make it sound like it's horrible, because it says that the average citizen in the U.S. and EU spends more than 200 hours a year commuting, and that comes with a lot of emissions. So now this earth.org, website that you can go visit, where this article is at, it's a very interesting website. It depends on how you look at it, but it sounds all roses and rainbows, but roses have their thorns. So this article talks about how the U.S. transportation sector replaced electric power generation as the top source of pollution in 2017. And they're saying in 2018, passenger vehicles composed 45.1% of transport emissions in the U.S. And it says, this is the good thing. The 15-minute city model aims to promote accessibility in essential urban services, making them less than a 15-minute walk away. This would make cities more sustainable and convenient, improving the mobility and well-being of residents, as well as obviously not having these emissions and stuff. That's what they're saying. So they bring up the pandemic as well in here, and it says it challenged our fundamental understanding of city life. It says people used to commute to an urban core for work, but as commuting was suspended due to the lockdowns in 2020, the global CO2 emissions decreased by 17% compared to 2019 levels. So it says with this earth.org article, with clear social and economic and environmental benefits, it is the city's best interest to increase mobility and reduce commuting distances. City planners have the responsibility to develop regional communities, in particular, providing better infrastructure and mobility solutions of residents. Well, that sounds really like they're pro people, right? They want us to have the best of lives. They want the air to be fresh and all this other stuff. Yet they say this. But how much of our stuff in this world is disposable? everything's disposable. Everything comes in plastic containers. We've got plastic bags, everything is some things are supposed to be recyclable. But, it used to get me that, for a while, the paper straws were a big deal in restaurants. Remember that? Yet sometimes the takeout cups were in plastic. So you had the paper straw with a throwaway big plastic cup. So how much space and how much sense did that really make sense? And if you want to start somewhere, you think about all the grocery bags and you go to the grocery store. If you don't use reusable bags, think of all the plastic bags that are out there now. And if you notice also the containers that we get our milk and our juices and stuff from, or our creamers for our coffee, they're so thin, they get dented, they leak. I'm not so sure that material they put our stuff in is sustainable, where it's not our food or our liquids are not absorbing some of that, because they're so fragile. It makes zero sense. I mean, why can't we, if they're really concerned, get rid about the paper straws? Why don't we go back to the paper bags? Why don't we go back to cloth bags that we can buy? Or maybe they hand out the cloth bags and you get like a 10 cents credit per bag every time you bring it back. I mean, on the big scale, that would be it. Let's reduce the amount of garbage that we emit out there every day, because I know for our family of 4, man, there is a lot of garbage. Even though we recycle, a lot of things are garbage. So I try to reuse boxes and things for different containers around the house until they just kind of disintegrate, so it's not as wasteful. There are things that we can do, and I don't think taking away people's vehicles or just allowing us to use electric vehicles, one or the other, is the total solution to any of this at all. Hey, Rokabit J, it's good to see you. Right, Decat. Yes. So anyways, I just think that on the bigger scale, people really want to do things, but you've got these younger generation of children and generations of people who are so used to toss away things, it doesn't even click to them anymore. I mean, heaven forbid, if you have a glass bottle, you got to wash out. Remember back in the day, we used to have glass bottles, milk delivered in the glass bottles. Why not reuse them? All these microwave containers we have, using the microwave. I mean, I don't think that it's good for you the microwave popcorn. You found out how bad it is. You microwave some of this stuff, it's not good for you. The containers that they're in, I don't think is good for you. If these so-called people and powers that be really care about us, hey, Becky Justice, if they really care about us, why are they not going back to what we had in the old days, which was glass and paper? And we reused and we recycled that way. Get rid of all this plastic, all this stuff, not trying to contain us to these 15-minute cities. It's an insanity to me, the way they think. And, it is the green girth people. It is all these different globalists that say, the climate change people and all that kind of stuff. So this earth.org, you guys, is where I'm finding some of this information at. And I think that if you visit this, it would be really eye-opening to you to get an insight to the way they think. It's crazy. So, this is going into bike lanes. They're saying that that's the way to go. 20-minute neighborhoods in Melbourne, they're saying, that are sustainable, and that's a good way to go. But this article from March 5th of 2023 from earth.org names the top 7 smart cities in the world in 2023. So the United Nations says they predict 70% of the world's population will be living in cities and urban areas by 2050, meaning emissions and energy usage will continue to rise with every passing year. The need for smarter urban transport networks, environmentally friendly water disposal facilities, and buildings with high energy efficiency are more critical than ever. So this is where smart city programs and initiatives come in, incorporating smart technology and objects that are embedded with sensors for data exchange in urban cities not only improves the quality of life of its citizens, but also the overall public safety. So it says Singapore, Helsinki, and Zurich have topped the list as the world's smartest cities in the 2020 Smart City Index. So these cities are based on economic and technical data, along with their citizens' perceptions of how smart their cities are. As more international cities join in the movement in investing in smart technology, here are 7 smart cities that are leading the pack with their smart city projects. So before I read the list of the 7, here we are with technology and stuff to oversee. So they're going to be talking about cameras and absorbing all this data from people, what they like, what they don't like, where are people going, and watching you at all times. So on one hand, they want to save the environment, they say, and we have to condense ourselves down to these small cities. But on the other hand, then what kind of rays and things are emitted out of these electrical technologies that we're using? I mean, we have seen the data that comes out even with cell phones. They say you shouldn't carry your cell phone on you near your body, sleep with it at night because of the different, things that come out of it and stuff. And everybody was worried about 5G, and they've dropped 5G everywhere. So to me, it seems like there's a huge imbalance there. It really does. Let me see. So the first city that they're talking about here is Singapore. And it says Singapore started launching their Smart Nation initiative in 2014. So Singapore has introduced a wide range of smart technologies in both its public and private sectors. So contactless payment technology has been widely adopted to efficiently direct movement and payments for Singapore's 7.5 million passengers who use public transports. That helps elevate the pressure of an aging population. A digital health system was introduced, normalizing video consultants at the same time, as well as wearable Internet of Things devices to monitor patients. So basically, they're monitoring all their patients. You wear it so they know how you're feeling, what you're doing 24/7. This is so crazy. This is so crazy to me. You wonder how we've lasted all these years without all this, right? I mean, but some people are buying into it. So this started in 2014. And this is eye-opening to me because, like I said, you guys, I knew that they were talking about different things like this, but I had no idea this has been going on since 2014. Or even earlier. It's like they had this idea and this plan, and some of these people have taken off and they're doing it now. They've been doing it. So it's crazy. So Helsinki, Finland's another one. They're going carbon neutral by 2035, they said. And they are proved to be on the way of reaching that goal. It says even back in 2017, the city managed to lower emissions by 27% than it was in 1990. Another goal Helsinki is working towards is reducing traffic emissions by 69% within 3 decades by 2035, which with measures like transitioning the entire city bus fleet to electric and expanding its metro and electric car charging networks. It says since heating accounts for more than half of the Helsinki's emissions, the city is focused on implementing energy efficiency measures during renovations, which could reduce emissions from buildings by 80%, as well as incorporating more renewable energy use in the city's buildings. So here they are. They're saying back in 2017, they've lowered emissions by 27%. So that is enticing to some people. Some people think, oh, this is a great idea. But like I say, we always have to dig deep, and we always have to pull back and look at the big picture with everything. Switzerland, in Zurich, Switzerland, they started a streetlight project. It says they introduced a series of streetlights that adapted to traffic levels using sensors, which increased its brightness or dim accordingly. The project enabled an energy of saving up to 70%. So they're saying a smart building management system which connects the city's heating, electricity, and cooling has been shown to be highly effective as well. So what have they done? They've tied all the streetlights into traffic using sensors, apparently, to save. And they've also have the city's heating, electricity, and cooling systems all tied in together inside the building, a building management system, which to me says if they want to shut it down, they can shut it down. We have no independent controls. Maybe they'll say, you know what, to save on energy down the road, you're not going to be able to set your air conditioning at past a certain level, and the same with heating. You can't set it at a certain level. So therein that loses our freedom in being able to me, set the controls the way we need them. So that's kind of scary to me as well. I just, like I said, the more control, it's like the control didn't go from just the outside. Now it's going to the inside. What's going on in our homes? It's also going into the food, what food we get, where we get it, how we eat it, and how we ingest it and where it's from. And it's going from outside into our bodies, and that's kind of troubling for me too. The number 4 city, smart city in the world is Oslo, Norway. It says they are going all in with electrical cars and plans for all vehicles in the entire city to go electric by 2025. You guys, that is not that far from now. We're in the end of 2023. So they're saying the Norwegian capital, all electric cars by 2025. And it says it's impressive considering the population is approximately 670,000 citizens. So, it's part of their city's controlled target for becoming carbon neutral by 2050. And there's other smart projects underway. So I don't know if you guys knew this was going on, but I sure in the heck didn't. I was like amazed when I saw this today. Amsterdam, the Netherlands, their smart city project started in 2009. And it says they have over 170 different operations across the city. And it says that they're using renewable energy for electric garbage trucks, installing solar-powered bus stops, billboards, and lights, constructing floating villages to combat overcrowding and provide an alternative to land reclamation. Throughout the city, thousands of operating businesses and households have already been modified with energy-efficient roofing insulation, automatically dimming light switches, smart meters, and ultra-low energy LED lights. Then this one, New York, United States, hundreds of smart sensors and technologies have been tested and placed throughout the different districts in New York City as part of the city pilot program in 2020. It amasses data to help manage services like waste management and collection for more efficiency. New York has also seen the introduction of smart hubs with contactless technology. And we have seen that. We have seen that spreading across the country as well, you guys, with these stores that you go into and there's nobody in there. And you have your card, or I think it was the little chip in the hand that you've seen, that you go in these stores and you have to chip in, and then you pay for it on the way out with the chip in your hand. And some of them are still ID cards. So people think that's pretty cool and pretty neat. But all of that to me takes it to an unfeeling, inhumane way that we function in society, where we stay isolated to ourselves. We lose the ability to think for ourselves and have interaction with people. We learn the ability to troubleshoot, because if something happens, then we'll probably call somebody. Let's say it doesn't work, the door doesn't open, or the payment doesn't work, or whatever. As you go to leave, you call somebody, they fix it or whatever, but there's no interaction, or maybe it's a number you dial. But all of it going into it reminds me of us being robots, where there's no such thing as human interaction, and we don't see people. We go into these stores and it's just glasses and products and glass cases, and it just is very cold, I guess I want to say, not very warm at all. And I'm not so sure that I'm thrilled with any of that. I'm all about advancing technology, but when we look at what the internet has done, we've made so many advances, and it can be such a wonderful thing, the internet. But boy, look at how bad it can be too. The abuses people take, the bullying that goes on, the imitating somebody's page, imitating a person. You look at the AI technology that's in place, where now you can make up you can type something in, and the AI makes up its own story. It can make up its own painting, its own pictures. It uses its own whatever. And I ask myself, who's actually inputting that stuff into the programs? You hope that people want to do it, and it's a good thing, and it's neutral across the board, where there's good people inputting fair stuff. But if you stop and think about it, it can be, if it's the bad people who are in power or control, and they can input what they want us to know and leave out what they don't want us to know. So basically, it's not only wiping out books and history and paper and reading, it's us typing in just a word or two, and then this whole story or this whole picture comes back of what AI tells us it should be and how it should be. Where is our reference going to be anymore to know whether things are true or not? It's bad enough a lot of the books have things left out, or a lot of the books are taken off the shelves and they're hard to find. But if we go out to this AI technology, we're going to be told whatever they want us, the powers that be want to tell us. And people say, hey, Kettlehead, it's good to see you. If people think you're crazy by saying that, I just beg to differ and look at how many things have been alleviated out of history and growing up and through school and programs and colleges. We've seen recently what's come out about colleges and stuff, and the leaving out of books in the library, what's been wiped out of libraries and what's not been wiped out, the kind of crud that has been put into our elementary and middle school libraries that is acceptable. So like I said, you pull back from the big picture. What you may think is really cool to start with, you have to take pause. And I love that taking pause, because if we act on emotion or instantly, approve of something or disapprove, we don't have the full picture. It's just our emotional instant reaction. So with some of these cities, these people are like so excited to be in and thinking it's a wonderful thing. You start pulling back because you look at if New York's doing all this, okay, car sharing services are huge, they're saying, in the Big Apple, which helps reduce total emissions and traffic congestion. I don't see that much going on there. So you ask yourself, okay, if all this supposedly is going on in New York, why is New York in the shape that it's in? If all these people, powers that be, that are in doing all these programs for smart cities and doing all these testing sites, why isn't New York in better condition and better shape? Shouldn't these smart cities be leading examples so other people want to follow along with it? I don't know about you, but New York is a rough place. It's a really rough place. I have friends that live in the Bronx in New York, and all the different areas that used to be nice have really gone down a lot, and there's areas that they won't go to anymore. And these people are born and raised in that area that they're in New York City, in the Bronx area. So, they've watched it deteriorate. They've watched the crime rates go up. And my thing is, I think that we need more, instead of the stores going hands-free and no people in the stores and spending all these millions of dollars on the technology in the stores and this electronic equipment. Why aren't we taking care of criminals in the country? Why aren't we using technology to our advantage for the criminals? Why cannot we, make new raw laws or rules in society that these people have to wear certain scan codes? Instead of scanning for groceries, criminals have to have a little scan code in their hand or whatever, that if they commit the crime again, it sets something off, or if they get pulled over, it sends it off. I mean, my point is, the criminals seem to be getting away with everything, and the average person is being told, you need to live this way and do this and this, and to be a good person and part of society. So like I said, so much time, energy, and effort is spent on not prosecuting criminals and leaving them in jail, allowing them just to be repeat offenders. But we're supposed to be happy about these different smart cities and this technology that they're coming out with. So my point is, if they can spend all this time and money on that, but not on the criminals and the homeless and stuff like that, you have to ask yourself why. It is like a sci-fi movie. It really is, because you come to the conclusion they don't want our best interest at heart. They do want us to be fearful so they can control us. And it's very disturbing. It's so disturbing to me. It's terrible. Let me see. We're going down to number 7 is Seoul, Korea, South Korea. It's the world's first smart city, Seoul, South Korea, world's first smart city. And they started launching their initiatives in 2014. And data is at the heart of Seoul's smart city projects. So they're saying through the accumulation and analysis of the urban patterns, such as traffic flow, speed, and air quality measured by sensors and CCTV deployed across the city, which is closed circuit TV, which means they're watching everything. Forms a strong basis for a smart infrastructure and services. Focusing on technology towards the city's aging population, a safety initiative was launched in aid of senior citizens who live alone. When there's no movement detected over a certain period of time, or if abnormal temperature, humidity, or lighting are picked up by the environmental sensors, relevant caseworkers and emergency services would be contacted immediately. So they also say, okay, so in a sense, that sounds good. If you could pay for a system, like the I've fallen and can't get up necklace where you squeeze it and somebody comes to your aid. I'm all about protecting senior citizens who live alone. And in theory, that sounds really good. But my thing is these CCTVs that are deployed across the cities to be able to watch, doesn't that mean they should be able to catch criminals, catch thieves quicker, and that would deter them from doing it? But we've seen over and over again how these criminals, they don't face consequences and they don't face fear of being stopped, caught, or if they are caught, they're let out of jail right away. Why can't we use those cameras to detain and identify and get these criminals and throw them away, right? And give them a trial, throw them away, repeat offenders. There is no reason that there should be so many repeat offenders out there in such a small period of time. If somebody does a crime, they get found guilty, they serve their time, they get out and commit another crime, that sentence should be even longer. And possibly if you've got a repeat offense over the same thing and you can't be rehabilitated, maybe you spend your life there. Not this get in, get out. And you see these people, these criminals who have a list of 44 different offenses. It's not like it's just a healthy habit that they're just going to break at any time soon. These criminals know that they're going to get away with it. They have no fear. And I'm all about using technology against the bad guys. But this is the problem. It seems like the bad guys, it's never used against, or the criminals. It's only used against us, we the people. And that's what we've got to get past. Now it goes into the 10 smartest cities in the U.S. This is another article from earth.org, you guys. That is the website I'm getting this from. This article comes from December of 2021. So that's a few years ago already. So it says cities like Seattle, San Francisco, and New York City have made the top 10 smart cities in the U.S., each dealing with the challenges of urbanization and embracing technologies in their unique ways. So all this kind of stuff sounds so positive that they're doing. But then you look at the condition of some of these cities, and it's totally terrible. It just doesn't make sense. This just seems like lies to me. So Dallas, Texas, it says, is one of the top 10 smart cities in the U.S. because they are, it says 1.7. These numbers are interesting too, 17%. And then this says around 1.7 trillion gallons of water are lost in the U.S. every year due to water leaks. As Texas is an arid region without a lot of rainfall, water management is one of Dallas's primary concerns. The city has adopted smart water monitoring devices for tracking water usage throughout the city. These devices are able to detect leaks so that the water department can fix them immediately, preventing tens of thousands of gallons of water from leaking every year. Now, I can agree with that. The water leak, if there's 1.7 trillion, and I'm no conspiracy theorist, but 1.7 trillion, come on now. And I said 17 in there somewhere else too. If it stops the leaks and all that, that's all about it. But then again, is it also where they can shut it off and hold the water back? There's been different things going on with what's happened in Hawaii and Maui. Okay, that the water wasn't turned on. They kept the water shut off and they didn't turn it on. They had to get permission and all that. So that's another step back. You give them control over that, and then it steps it back because they can shut it off then, and that's not good. And then we know all about the controlling the water that, remember you take a shower and you go to a hotel or even at home, and that water, it just seemed like it had to run forever because the trickle of water was just that. It was a trickle. No matter what shower head you get, that water pressure coming out of showers was ridiculous. And it made no sense to me that they would put those restrictors on the water faucets and showers and sinks because you took 3 times as long to rinse soap off you. You sit there and you take a shower. Oh, it's like, why is this soap not coming off me? So you ended up staying in the shower forever. Or if you're doing dishes by hand, it took forever to rinse the soap off the dishes. So the restrictors to me didn't work at all. It made no sense because you were in there longer, wasting even more water. And Mr. T's administration, remember, he put a ban on that, and we're like, oh, heck yeah, we get our showers back again. But that's going away and went away again as well. So what is really the goal here? What is the goal? To be able to control how much water you use. That's obnoxious. I agree with the leaks. Because that's a lot of water leakage. Then in Chicago, that is another top 10 smart city in the U.S. It says that they consist of network of sensors mounted on light posts all over the city, collecting real-time data on the city's environmental surroundings and urban activities. Ooh, so if they're finding out what's going on, the urban activities and cities' environmental surroundings, and finding out what's going on with the general public, so why is there still the crime rate so high? Why is the security camera footage combined with the supposedly sophisticated software to determine the sources of gunshots, where they went, and to help apprehend criminals? How come that doesn't seem to be working? Or is it working and they're just releasing them out of jail? You would think that it would be wonderful. It would be wonderful to have that. But Chicago, I don't think, is a good example. It may be one of the top 10 smart cities, but it's not really a good example. So then Austin, Texas is up here because they're using solar powered stuff. They started doing things in 2013, different transportation options. They said trying to rapidly expand technology in an open data directive. It's been since 2017. They said that they're going to use mobile health clinics, Uber and Lyft parking spaces, stuff like that. One of the main smart city initiatives Austin has also been involved is the upgrading of its electric grid. So that's what they're saying with that. Then Seattle, Washington, for reducing a carbon footprint. Then Charlotte, North Carolina, it says that they build a digital infrastructure so that more residents can benefit from the internet. There will be greater access to public Wi-Fi. Then we got San Francisco, California. It says that they a technology epicenter is what they are. And it makes sense that the city has a smart city initiatives underway as the second most densely populated city in the U.S. So there's 300 LEED certified buildings in the city, and they want to connect a vehicle grid throughout the city so that autonomous vehicles can communicate with each other and follow traffic guidance systems to avoid congested areas. Okay, so they've got this all in place. They hope to get this all in place and it working well, but the homeless on the streets keep building and getting more and more. The tent cities keep building more and more. So we're going to worry about traffic congestion, but we're not going to worry about the homeless on the streets. To me, that's an oxymoron. Rural and RFD is life for me. City's not good. Find your place in life, DeCat said. Your telephones and the stores are already facial recognition, Larry P. That's absolutely truth. Yes, you guys. Hey, Harvest Mary Moon. Yes, prayers for Harvest Mary Moon in eastern North Carolina. When it blows out the northeast, it'll get lots of water. Yes, Harvest Mary Moon, prayers for you. I was saying earlier, here in Georgia, not so bad. It looks like we dodged it where I'm at. And I said we definitely need to have prayers. That band's coming around and it's not looking so good. I've been watching some video on what has happened in Florida. Some people, obviously, they made it through okay. It's like already sunny and nice out in some parts of it. In other parts, they're waiting for, like you said, once that blows, it's going to get a lot of water. It's that whole water stuff going on after the winds pass through. So many prayers to you, Harvest Mary Moon, and everybody else as this hurricane, we want it to wind down and just dissipate, but it's very sad. It's very sad. DC is also projected to keep growing. There will be significant continuous pressures to expand the systems necessary to support growth, new roads, water, sewer, schools, church. So as I read through these guys, these 10 top smart cities in the U.S., look at where they're at and who they are. So we've got San Francisco, we've got D.C., we've got Boulder, Colorado, we've got San Jose, California, we've got New York City. So like I said, I had no idea that these cities were smart cities. I didn't know that they've been doing this since 2021 or earlier in some of these places. But if you do go to earth.org, to that website, you'll be able to get filled in on these cities. And like I said, in concept, some of this seems pretty cool. For, like I said, I'm going to liken it one more time for those of you who came in late or later, for senior homes, for seniors. When you can compare it to that, it's just on a bigger scale, because they want 15-minute cities where people do not leave that city. They don't have to. Some people will become lazy and not and say they have a good life, or some people won't be able to, and that's okay. Now, of course, they're going to say, well, you can take your car and go anywhere you want to go. However, with the way things are going, do you trust that? Because some of these are saying they only want electrical vehicles in these cities. Some are saying you don't even need a vehicle. We're not going to even have spaces for you to have a vehicle, that you're just going to use the transportation. So my question is, if you don't have a vehicle and you live in this city, what are you going to do? Have to call somebody to come pick you up, use a taxi service? Are those taxi services going to even be available to take you around the country, or where do you want to go? How does that affect travel? Are they going to have mass transportation where you leave your 15-minute city, you gotta pay somebody, and then you'll be able to get driven to the airport and fly? And my question is, if that's how it's going to be, who's going to be able to afford that? I certainly know I wouldn't be able to afford to pay somebody all the time to drive me to the airport, there and back, depending on how far it is, if I lived in one of those cities, if I wanted to see a loved one or something like that. So to me, it's like the poor. They said in this other article that I read that they don't want it just to be the rich people. They want it to be in the poor neighborhoods as well. Okay, well, the poor neighborhoods, are they going to be able to afford to ever get out of that neighborhood? Are they, if there's no space for their vehicles, are they ever going to be able to have a vehicle again? So I guess it's just, like I said, it's just something to think about and consider, because in theory, of course, when you present something to somebody and you're trying to sell somebody something, you want to make it the best it possibly can be. You want to make it to sound just perfect and great, and you're going to love this, like they say a good car salesman will do, right? You walk up and you just want to look at cars, but a good car salesman, by the time you leave, you've bought a vehicle. Is that what these people are doing? They're just trying to sell you that, because once you get in there, really, what choice do you have? If you don't have a vehicle, are you going to have to call somebody, family member, to get you out of there? And I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer. Like I said, there's some good theories to this, but there's a lot of bad theories to it too, when they want to spread it across the country. And you got to ask yourself, with what cities are smart cities now? Who's running it? Who's controlling it? What are their intentions? And why do they want it all across the country, all these different places? You mean to tell me we're not doing well? We aren't doing as well as we did back in the farm days? I mean, seriously, I think that my opinion is we should go back to just farming and all that, all organic, natural, just like the great-great-grandparents, and live off the land, and stop with this mass production and this mass everything. Stop staying in the computers, get out in the world and know who our neighbors are and stuff. That's the utopia that I wish I could be in. But, hopefully, someday down the road, these prices will go down. Inflation's going to go down some. I'm not going to hold my breath, but, inflation will go down, and we'll be able to afford, if we want to move to the country, or we want to get, change our homes, we'll be able to go ahead and change our homes, because now everything's so expensive. It's a long time coming. The money that we make, the scale of what we make, our pay and income compared to the inflation and how much everything costs, it's like we're way below. It's like, way down there. It's unaffordable for a lot of things. So I was going to look at here too and talk about a couple little things here as far as percentages and stuff, because Biden's been out there claiming that he's successful and everything's going well. Some things can't be helped, blah, 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 blah. But a lot of his claims are undercut by individual numbers. So they paint a much more devastating picture than what he's putting out there as far as the CPI aggregate that he's putting out there. So gas prices, for example, they're up almost 20% this year alone, and are 71% higher than 3 years ago. 71% higher gas prices are than 3 years ago, and that's according to the AAA archives. So this is data. He's saying out there everything's good or it's okay, and we're going to fix it, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. I saw a video of somebody that dealt in the oil business, and he was saying that for oil he'd get 50 gallons a barrel, not $50 for a barrel of it or whatever, and now it's 500 times that. He goes, so what's happening is, he goes, I'm getting rich. He goes, I'm getting filthy rich. But what's happening to the average person out there? He goes, this isn't right. This isn't right at all. And I thought, gosh, this was a great for this guy to stand up in regards to that and be honest about it, that, you know, from $50 a barrel up to, it was like 500 or something ridiculous. He's making massive amounts of money. But he doesn't feel good about it because he knows how people out there are struggling. So then the Bureau of Labor Statistics data shows during the past 12 months, food costs have risen 4.9%. Rent is up 8%, and transportation services are up 9%. So those are kind of big numbers to be out there, and it's day-to-day living. And we all know how expensive groceries are. You can spend $100 just on a couple bags of groceries anymore. Absolutely disturbing. And I say with lunch meat, you know, with kids going back to school and stuff, lunch meat, you know, I used to look for a smaller package because it was so big. The packages were so big, and you could get it for $5, $6, $7 that I thought the meat would go bad by the time I would use it, you know. But it was very economical, and people need that for lunches, not just kids, but for people working out there too. Now you go and you get lunch meat. If you buy it, it's enough for 2 sandwiches, and it's like $11, $8 to $11. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's just disgusting. So for Mr. B to be out there acting like everything's going to be okay, and that we've done pretty good out there and things are pretty good, I just think that he's just not with it. He's totally not with it. And I can't see anybody supporting him from this point on. If he runs again, there's no way that people can support somebody that is thinking that way, acting that way, which to me is a non-thinker. And, you know, many people say, well, he's not really doing it. It's the people behind the scenes that are doing it, running the country, making decisions, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the president of the United States. So, you know, we've got a lot to think about and a lot to take care of. We just have to stay strong and keep the path and fight the good fight, because this country is so worth fighting for. The generations to come, like I always say, are so worth fighting for. We can't leave the country in this shape for these kids, our future generations, our children, our grandchildren at all. So we just keep fighting. 2024 is not that far away. And so we just have to, you know, pray a lot. We have to pray a lot. So that's what I have for you guys this afternoon, into the evening, I should say it is now. Let's keep, like I said, everybody in our prayers regarding the hurricane. Harvest Mary Moon, we love you. We're praying for you as well. And everybody else out there, you know, stay strong, keep the faith, go to prayer. Don't get discouraged. Just take a breather when you need a breather, you guys, and try to find the good in life every day, every single day. Find something to be thankful for. You know, just try to start and end your day on a good note. And that good note for me is prayer and hope, and you reading the scriptures, and, you know, just enjoying what this country is, and to know that there's a lot of people out there like you and I that are fighting to do what's right, to be the change and make the change that we need in this country to get it back the way she should be. And it's pretty impressive. So love you guys. I thank you all so much for joining me. Those of you who join later, we'll see this later. Love you too. Thank you for the continued support and love. And thank you just for sharing this day-to-day crazy world with me and with each other. I love you guys. Have a great rest of your evening. Bye-bye.